At 72, my bones ached in this damp weather, but I barely noticed as I hurried toward the entrance. The automatic doors slid open with a whisper, revealing the bright, sterile world of the hospital. The smell hit me first, antiseptic and something else underneath. Fear maybe. Or despair. The waiting room was half empty at this hour. A young man paced near the vending machines. An elderly couple sat holding hands in silence. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting everyone in that strange sickly glow hospitals have. I approached the reception desk where a woman in blue scrubs typed furiously into a computer. "Can I help you?" she asked without looking up. "My daughter, Maya Salter. She was admitted last night." The nurse finally glanced at me, her expression softening. "Room 412. But visiting hours ended 20 minutes ago." "Please," I said, my voice cracking. "She asked for me. I came as soon as I could." Something in my face must have reached her. She sighed, glancing toward the hallway. "Make it quick. And be quiet. She just fell asleep." I nodded, clutching my purse like a lifeline, and hurried toward the elevators. My reflection in the metal door startled me, gray hair escaping its bun. Wrinkles I hadn't noticed before, eyes wide with worry. When had I gotten so old? The fourth floor was quieter than downstairs. Softer lights. I passed rooms with doors slightly ajar, catching glimpses of sleeping patients, beeping machines, families keeping vigil. Room 412 was at the end of the hall. I paused outside the door, taking a deep breath. What would I find inside? My vibrant, laughing daughter who used to dance in the kitchen while making pancakes on Saturday mornings? Or the quiet shadow she'd become these past 2 years? I pushed the door open slowly. The room was dim, lit only by a small lamp near the bed. Machines beeped softly in the corner, their blinking lights casting dancing shadows on the walls. And there, in the hospital bed, was my Maya. My hand flew to my mouth to stifle a gasp. This wasn't exhaustion. This was something else entirely. Her face was pale, almost gray. Dark circles hung beneath her closed eyes like bruises. Her arms, thin, so thin, rested on top of the blanket. One had an 4-line taped to it. I moved closer, my heart breaking with each step. This wasn't my daughter. This was a stranger wearing her skin. Before I could reach the bed, a gentle hand touched my arm. I jumped, turning to see a nurse about 40 years old standing behind me. Her name tag read Elena. "I was just about to check on her," the nurse whispered. "You must be Evelyn. Maya's mentioned you." Her eyes held something I couldn't quite read. Concern, yes, but something else too. Urgency, maybe. Warning. "How is she?" I asked, my voice barely audible. Elena glanced toward the bed, then back at me. Her grip on my arm tightened slightly. "She's stable. But Mrs. Winters, there's something I think you should know." "What is it?" I asked, dread pooling in my stomach. Before she could answer, the door opened and Daniel walked in. He looked immaculate as always. Pressed khakis, crisp blue shirt, the silver watch I'd given Maya for their wedding gleaming on his wrist. He flashed me a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Evelyn, I wasn't expecting you so late." His voice was smooth, practiced. The voice he used when he wanted something. "I came as soon as I heard," I said, pulling my arm gently from Elena's grasp. Daniel moved to stand beside Maya's bed, taking her hand in his. "She's been under tremendous stress at work. The principal has been writing her about test scores, and she's been staying late every day. I've told her to take a leave of absence, but she's stubborn." My eyes flickered to Elena, who was now checking the 4-line with intense focus. Something about her posture seemed off, too rigid, too careful. "When did this start?" I asked Daniel, watching him closely. "About a week ago. She just kept getting weaker. I finally had to insist she see a doctor." He sighed dramatically. "You know how she hates hospitals." Maya stirred slightly in her sleep, a small whimper escaping her lips. Daniel squeezed her hand. "Sure, baby. I'm here." The tenderness in his voice was convincing. Too convincing. Like a performance. "Has the doctor said what's wrong?" I asked. "Just severe dehydration and exhaustion," Daniel said before Elena could answer. "They're running some tests, but it's nothing serious. She'll be home in a day or two." Maya whimpered again, her eyelids fluttering. For a brief moment, her eyes opened. They were so unlike her usual bright hazel, cloudy, confused. But when they landed on me, something sparked in them. Recognition. And something else, fear. "Mama," she whispered. "I'm here, sweetheart," I said, moving to her other side. "I'm right here." Her hand found mine, her grip surprisingly strong. Her lips moved, forming silent words only I could see. "Help me." Then Daniel shifted, and Maya's expression changed instantly. Her eyes closed again, her hand going limp in mine. "She's been drifting in and out," Daniel explained. "The medication makes her groggy." I nodded, but my mind was racing. That look, those words, they weren't from someone who was just tired. That was a cry for help. Elena cleared her throat. "I need to take some vitals. Perhaps you could wait in the hallway for a few minutes." Daniel nodded agreeably. "Good idea. I'll walk Evelyn out." As we stepped into the hallway, Daniel put a hand on my shoulder. "I know you worry, Evelyn. But Maya's in good hands. The doctors here are excellent." "Has she been sleeping well?" I asked casually. "Like a baby," he said immediately. "Too immediately. Though she does have those nightmares." "Nightmares?" He waved a dismissive hand. "Just stress dreams. She's always been a vivid dreamer." The hallway seemed to grow narrower around me. Elena had wanted to tell me something. Maya had looked at me with fear in her eyes. Daniel's answers were too smooth, too ready. "I should get back to her," I said. Daniel's smile didn't waver, but his eyes hardened slightly. "Of course. But remember what the nurse said. Don't stay too long. She needs rest." I nodded, turning back toward Maya's room. As I passed the nurse's station, Elena caught my eye. She gave an almost imperceptible shake of her head, then pointed subtly toward the empty family room across the hall. I hesitated, then changed direction. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. And I was the only one who seemed to see it. The family room was empty except for worn armchairs and a coffee table with outdated magazines. I sat, my heart pounding. 2 minutes later, Elena slipped inside, closing the door softly behind her. The family room door clicked shut behind me. Elena closed it gently, then turned and leaned against it, her expression tense. The overhead light flickered slightly, casting shadows across her face. "Mrs. Winters, I need you to listen carefully," she began, her voice low but urgent. "I've been working here for 12 years. I've seen a lot. And what I'm seeing with your daughter, it doesn't add up." I gripped the edge of the nearest chair. "What do you mean? The doctors said it was just exhaustion." Elena shook her head sharply. "Exhaustion doesn't cause the symptoms Maya's showing. Her electrolytes are dangerously unbalanced. Her blood pressure drops when no one's watching. And her weight." She paused, taking a small notebook from her pocket. "Maya weighed 128 pounds 3 months ago during her annual checkup. Today she weighs 97 pounds. That's not exhaustion, Mrs. Winters. That's starvation." My stomach clenched. "But Daniel said she's been eating," he said. "Daniel brings her food every day," Elena interrupted. "He's very attentive. Always there. Always watching. But I've noticed something." She moved closer, lowering her voice even further. "Maya only eats when he's not in the room. When he steps out, even for a minute, she'll grab whatever's available. The Jell-O cups from other patients' trays, saltines from the nurse's station. I've seen her drinking from the water cooler like she's been in a desert." The image made my throat tighten. My Maya, always the one who shared her lunch with hungry classmates, now sneaking food like a thief. "I reported my concerns to Dr. Chun," Elena continued, "her primary physician. But Daniel has been very persuasive. He's made several substantial donations to the hospital recently. New equipment for this wing. A renovated waiting area. Dr. Chun said without concrete evidence, there's little he can do. Maya's an adult. She has a legal guardian. Her husband." The word guardian hit me like a physical blow. The rain hit my windshield like tiny fists as I gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white. My old Buick felt like it might give out before I reached St. Vincent's Hospital. "Not today, Bessie. Not when Maya needs me." I should have seen this coming. I should have listened to that small voice inside me that whispered something was wrong whenever Daniel was around. But what mother wants to believe her daughter's husband could hurt her? The phone call that morning had been brief, clinical. Mrs. Winters? This is Nurse Rodriguez from St. Vincent's. Your daughter Maya Salter was admitted last night with severe dehydration and exhaustion. She's asking for you. Exhaustion. That's what they said. That's what Daniel had been saying for months whenever I called to check on Maya. She's just tired, Evelyn. Working too hard. You know how dedicated she is to her students. Maya was a third-grade teacher. She loved her job. But lately, her voice on the phone had sounded different. Flat. Lifeless. And she rarely visited anymore. When I pressed Daniel about it, he'd just sigh and say, "Mom, you have to understand. Adult children need their space. Maya's adjusting to married life." But mothers know. We feel the shift in our children's voices, the distance in their eyes even through a phone line. We remember when they were small and everything about them was familiar. The way they breathed when sleeping, how they took their coffee, which knee had the scar from falling off their bike at 7 years old. Daniel had changed her. Slowly, subtly. First, it was just small things. Maya stopped wearing her favorite red lipstick. Then she gave up her weekly pottery class. Then came the missed Sunday dinners. "We're busy," Daniel would say. "You'll see her soon." Tonight, I'd see her. Tonight, I'd look into her eyes and know if my fears were just the ramblings of an overprotective mother or something darker. I parked in the hospital lot, the rain still coming down in sheets. Since when had my vibrant daughter needed a guardian? The Maya I knew made her own decisions, fought for her students, stood up to the school board when they wanted to cut arts funding. This wasn't the same person. What about the tests? I asked. Surely they've run tests. Blood work, yes. But the results keep coming back inconclusive, Elena said, making quotation marks in the air. I've seen the actual reports before they get filed. There are anomalies. Unexplained fluctuations in hormone levels. Toxins that shouldn't be there. But by the time the official report reaches Dr. Chen's desk, those details are gone. My hands were shaking now. Are you saying someone's tampering with her medical records? Elena didn't answer directly. Instead, she pulled out her phone and showed me a photo. It was Maya, but not the broken woman in the hospital bed. This Maya was standing in a hospital doorway, her back to the camera, looking down the hall. She was painfully thin, her hospital gown hanging off her frame, but her posture was alert, wary even. This was taken 2 nights ago, Elena whispered. She was sleepwalking. Or at least, that's what we're supposed to believe. She wasn't asleep. She was trying to get to the nurse's station. When I found her, she was crying. She kept saying, "Don't let him find me. Don't let him know I'm awake." A chill ran through me. Who? Daniel? Elena nodded grimly. I got her back to bed before he came looking for her. But Mrs. Winters, this morning I found something in Maya's room. Something that doesn't belong in a hospital. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small plastic bag containing a single blue pill. I don't know what it is. I've never seen this medication prescribed here. But I found 3 more hidden in her bedside drawer. Maya denied they were hers. She looked terrified when she saw them. Daniel must have put them there. I said, the pieces falling into place with sickening clarity. He's been controlling her diet, her medication, her access to people, just like he controlled me for years after Mark died. Elena's eyes widened slightly. Your husband, Mark. He died 10 years ago. Brain aneurysm. Afterward, Daniel was there for me. Helped with the funeral arrangements. Made sure the house was maintained. I was vulnerable. Grieving. He became my rock. I swallowed hard, remembering how easily I'd been manipulated. I never saw it coming. He slowly isolated me from my friends. Made decisions about my finances for my own good. Told me I wasn't thinking clearly because of my grief. It took me nearly 2 years to realize what was happening. By then he had power of attorney. Control of my trust fund. The shame of that period still burned. How I'd defended him to my friends when they expressed concern. How I'd made excuses for his controlling behavior. How I'd ignored the way he spoke over me. Dismissed my opinions, monitored my phone calls. I finally got out. I told Elena. Hired a lawyer when Daniel was out of town. Changed all my passwords. Moved to a new apartment without telling him. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. I looked toward the door, toward my daughter's room. I thought I was protecting Maya by staying away, by not causing drama. I didn't want her caught in the middle of my problems with him. Elena placed a hand on my arm. You couldn't have known. But I should have seen the signs, I insisted. I lived them. I recognized that look in Maya's eyes, the same look I had in every photo from those years. That hollow fear masked as tiredness. The door suddenly opened. We both jumped. Daniel stood there, his smile not reaching his eyes. There you are, he said smoothly. I was worried when I didn't find you in Maya's room. His gaze flickered between me and Elena. Is everything all right? Perfectly fine, Elena replied quickly. Mrs. Winters was just asking about visiting hours for tomorrow. Daniel's expression remained pleasant, but his eyes narrowed almost imperceptibly. Maya's resting now. The doctor said she needs complete quiet. Perhaps it's best if you head home, Evelyn. Long drive back to your apartment, isn't it? The casual mention of my apartment sent a warning through me. He was checking if I was still living there. If I was still alone. I think I'll stay a while longer, I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. I haven't seen my daughter in months. I'd like to be here when she wakes up. Something flashed in Daniel's eyes. Annoyance, maybe anger, but his smile never wavered. Of course. Family is important. I'll just check on Maya, then I have some work calls to make in the lobby. Don't want to disturb her rest. He turned to Elena. You'll make sure Mrs. Winters knows when visiting hours end? Of course, Elena said evenly. Security is very strict after hours. As Daniel walked away, I noticed how his shoulders were tense, how his hands were clenched at his sides. The perfect mask was slipping just slightly. When he was out of earshot, Elena grabbed my hand. Listen to me. I have a friend, a social worker who specializes in domestic abuse cases. Her name is Priya Sharma. I've texted her already. She's coming tonight, after her shift. But you need to be careful. Daniel is watching you. Watching both of us now. What about Maya? I asked, panic rising. If he realizes we know something. He won't hurt her here in the hospital, Elena said, though her voice lacked conviction. Too many witnesses. But when she's discharged. She didn't need to finish the thought. We need evidence. Something concrete that will make the police take action. Can you think of anything? Old photos of Maya before they married? Text messages where she seemed distressed. I thought back to the last few years. The texts that had gradually become shorter, less frequent. The photos where Maya smiled but her eyes looked sad. The times I'd called and Daniel answered, saying Maya was busy or sleeping. I have her old journals, I said suddenly. From college. She kept everything. But they're at my apartment. Elena nodded. That's a start. But we need more recent evidence. Something that shows a pattern of control. Of isolation. The door cracked open again. We both froze. But it was just a cleaning cart being pushed past by a janitor, who didn't even glance our way. We don't have much time, Elena whispered. Daniel will return soon. Go back to Maya's room. Act normal. I'll find a way to get you a phone number where you can reach Priya directly. But be careful. Don't use your cell phone near Daniel. He could be monitoring it. I nodded, standing on legs that felt like jelly. As I reached for the door, Elena caught my wrist. One more thing, she said, her voice barely audible. When you're with Maya, tell her you love her. Tell her you remember who she really is. The real Maya. The one before him. That's what he fears most, that she'll remember herself. I slipped back into the hallway, my heart pounding against my ribs. The fluorescent lights seemed brighter now, harsher. Every shadow felt like a threat. Halfway to Maya's room, I realized I didn't have my purse. It was still in the family room where I'd dropped it when Elena pulled me aside. Turning back, I reached for the door handle, just as it opened from the inside. Daniel stood there, holding my purse. His smile was wide, but his eyes were cold. I found this, he said, handing it to me. You should be more careful with your things, Evelyn. Hospitals can be dangerous places. People take what doesn't belong to them all the time. His gaze lingered on my face, searching for something. Especially when they're vulnerable. The words hung between us, heavy with meaning. He knew. Or at least he suspected. "Thank you," I managed to say, taking the purse. As our fingers brushed, I felt a chill run through me. This wasn't just a controlling husband worried about his wife's health. This was something darker. Something calculated. Walking back to Maya's room, I clutched my purse like a shield. Through the window in her door, I could see Daniel standing beside her bed, stroking her hair. But his face wasn't tender, it was tense, watchful, checking to make sure she was still asleep. When he looked up and saw me watching, his expression shifted instantly. The caring husband returned, full force. He mouthed, "She just woke up, asking for you." But as I pushed open the door, I saw Maya's eyes were closed. Her breathing was deep and even. She hadn't woken up at all. She was still sleeping. Or pretending to. And as I took the chair beside her bed, I noticed her hand was twisted slightly beneath the blanket. When Daniel turned to adjust her for, I saw what she was hiding. A small piece of paper clutched in her fingers. The edge was visible, torn and crumpled. Maya's eyes fluttered open just as Daniel stepped away. For a brief moment, her gaze met mine. Then ever so slowly, she slid the paper across the bed toward me. Her movement hidden by the blanket. Daniel was still in the room, talking about some work project, but my heart was pounding so loudly I could barely hear him. I reached for Maya's hand, taking the paper as our fingers touched. It was damp with her sweat. Under the blanket, I unfolded it slightly, just enough to see the words scrawled in shaky handwriting. "He's poisoning me. Don't trust the food. Help me." Daniel's phone buzzed in his pocket, breaking the heavy silence. He pulled it out, frowning at the screen. "Work emergency," he said, his voice smooth but tight. "I'll just step outside. Don't let her tire herself out, Evelyn." His eyes lingered on Maya's face a beat too long before he slipped out, closing the door with deliberate softness. The second he was gone, Maya's hand shot out from under the blanket, gripping my wrist. Her skin was ice cold. "Mama," she whispered, her voice raw and thin as tissue paper. "You have to go. Now." I tucked the crumpled note deeper into my palm. "Maya, what?" "He knows you know," she rasped, tears welling in those exhausted eyes. "He watches everything. The cameras in our house, they're not just for security. He records me. My phone, my emails, even the thermostat." A dry sob escaped her. "He adjusts it to make me too cold or too hot so I can't sleep. Says it's for my health." I squeezed her hand, trying to anchor her. "Elena, she's helping us. There's a social worker coming tonight. Priya Sharma. We're going to." "No." Maya's grip tightened, her nails digging in. "If he finds out you talked to her." "Last time I tried to tell someone, a neighbor, he made it look like I was having a breakdown. Said I'd accused her of stealing from us." Her breath hitched. "He had me committed for 3 days. Made me sign papers saying I was delusional." The judge believed him. He's so convincing. The cruelty of it stole my breath. My bright, fierce daughter, reduced to this trembling shadow. I brushed a strand of hair from her forehead, my thumb catching a tear on her cheek. "I won't let him do this again. I promise." She nodded weakly. Then her eyes darted to the door. "He'll be back soon. Listen, our apartment. The bedroom closet. Behind the shoeboxes on the top shelf. There's a blue tin. My journals. Photos. And," she swallowed hard. "Audio recordings." I started keeping my phone voice memo app running when he'd talk to me at night. After I pretended to sleep. Her voice dropped to a thread. "He doesn't know I backed them up to a cloud drive. The password is your birthday and the year Maya turned 7. A memory flashed. Maya at 7, covered in flour after baking surprise cookies for me. Her laugh ringing through the kitchen. Before Daniel. Before the silence. "I'll get them," I vowed. The door handle turned. We both froze. Maya released me, letting her hand fall limp onto the blanket just as Daniel entered, phone tucked away. "All set," he announced too cheerfully. "Now Maya, sweetheart, I brought your favorite." He lifted a small insulated bag from the floor. "Chicken soup from that place you love, the one with the fresh dill." He began unpacking a container, his movements precise, practiced. Maya's breathing turned shallow. Her eyes locked on the soup like it was a coiled snake. Don't, I said quietly. Daniel paused, spoon hovering. Excuse me. You heard me. She's not eating it. I stood, placing myself between him and Maya's bed. Elena said no outside food until the tests are conclusive. A flicker of irritation crossed his face, gone in an instant. Elena's just being cautious. Maya needs proper nutrition, not hospital jello. He held the spoon toward Maya. Come on, baby. Just a few bites. Maya turned her face to the wall. I'm not hungry. Daniel's smile tightened. You missed dinner last night. And breakfast. You have to. I said no. Maya's voice was barely audible, but it carried a spark I hadn't heard in years. Daniel set down the spoon with a soft clink. Mrs. Winters, he said, turning to me, his tone icy beneath the calm. Maya's health is my responsibility, not yours. You're upsetting her. The door opened again. Elena stood there, clipboard in hand. Vitals time, she announced, her gaze sharp as it swept over the uneaten soup. And Mr. Salter, I'll need you to step out. Hospital policy. Daniel opened his mouth, but Elena cut him off. Security's been notified about unauthorized food in high-risk patient rooms. Last week, a diabetic patient almost went into shock. She didn't blink. I'm sure you understand. For a heartbeat, Daniel's mask slipped. His jaw clenched, his eyes flashing with something dark. Then he smoothed his expression, patting Maya's shoulder. I'll be right outside, sweetheart. Call if you need anything. As he passed me, he leaned in, his breath warm against my ear. Be careful who you trust, Evelyn. Some people see monsters where there are only shadows. The door shut behind him. Elena locked it. Audio recordings? She whispered urgently, checking the 4-line. Maya, that's gold. But we need them tonight. Daniel's pushing for discharge tomorrow. He's already signed the paperwork. Maya's eyes widened in panic. He can't, he's not. He's her legal guardian, Elena said grimly. Signed forms after her breakdown last year. Without concrete proof of abuse, the system favors him. She turned to me. Your apartment. Can you get the tin? Yes. But how do I leave without him following me? Elena pulled a key card from her scrubs. Service elevator. Down the hall, third door on the left. It only opens for staff. I'll text you when Daniel's distracted. But hurry, Priya arrives at midnight. She can subpoena those recordings, but we need them before Daniel realizes they're missing. Maya grasped Elena's wrist. The soup, she whispered. He put something in it. Makes me dizzy. Weak. I tried throwing it up once, he caught me. Said if I ever wasted food again, he'd take away my keys. My job. Her voice broke. He told the principal I was unstable. They put me on leave. Elena's face hardened. I'll have this tested. She sealed the soup container in a plastic bag from her pocket. Go now, Evelyn. Maya, rest. Conserve your strength. I kissed Maya's forehead, breathing in the sterile hospital smell mixed with her faint, familiar scent, vanilla and chalk dust from her classroom. I'll be back before you know it, I whispered. Evelyn. Maya's fingers brushed mine. The password. It's not just your birthday. It's sunshine and rainbows. My throat closed. That was Mark's phrase, my late husband's. He'd whisper it to Maya when she had nightmares. Daniel had no idea. I slipped into the hallway. The service elevator door was dented and unmarked. Elena's keycard beeped, and the doors slid open with a groan. As I stepped inside, I glanced back. Daniel stood at the nurse's station, laughing with a receptionist, his posture relaxed. But his eyes tracked me. Cold. Calculating. The elevator descended with a shudder. Floor 3. My phone buzzed. A text from Elena. He's asking about you. Said you looked upset. Be careful. The lobby was quieter now. Near the exit, Daniel's silver sedan gleamed under the streetlights, rain still streaking its windows. But his car wasn't the only one there. Parked behind it was a dented pickup truck. Elena's, I realized. She'd given me the keys earlier. Take it, she'd insisted. Blend in. I hurried toward it, head down. Halfway across the lot, a voice cut through the rain. Evelyn. I froze. Daniel stood under the hospital awning, holding an umbrella. Leaving so soon? Maya was just asking for you. My pulse roared in my ears. I forgot something at home. Medicine. He stepped closer, rain pattering on the umbrella's canopy. At this hour? Let me drive you. No. I'm fine. I forced a smile. Just a quick errand. His gaze dropped to my hands, empty. You didn't bring your purse. Ice flooded my veins. He was right. I'd left it on Maya's bedside chair. With my ID. My keys. My phone. Before I could react, he placed a hand on my arm. His grip was firm, unyielding. You seem distressed, he murmured. Is it Maya's condition? Or, he leaned in, his breath warm against my rain-cooled skin. Is it something else? Something Elena told you. The hospital doors slid open behind us. Elena stood there, face unreadable. Mr. Salter, she called out, her voice carrying over the rain. Maya's blood pressure just spiked. She's asking for you. Daniel's grip loosened. He gave me one last look. A look that promised consequences, then turned toward the doors. Stay safe driving, he said over his shoulder, the words laced with threat. These roads are dangerous at night. As he disappeared inside, Elena rushed to me. Go. Now. I'll stall him. The truck keys are under the front mat. She pressed a small recorder into my hand. For the audio files. Priya needs them digitized. I ran to the pickup, fumbling with the keys. The engine coughed to life. In the rearview mirror, I saw Daniel reappear at the doors, scanning the lot. His eyes locked onto the truck. I slammed the gas pedal. Tires squealed on wet pavement as I fishtailed onto the road. The rain blurred the city lights into streaks of gold and red. My heart hammered against my ribs, but beneath the fear, a new feeling surged. Fury. Daniel thought he'd broken her. But Maya had fought back. She'd hidden proof. She'd remembered us, the real us, before he'd stolen her voice. The apartment building loomed ahead, dark and familiar. I pulled into the alley, parking where Daniel's cameras couldn't see. The service stairs were damp and smelled of mildew. On the third-floor landing, I fumbled for my house key, the one Daniel didn't know about, hidden in a fake rock Mark had given me years ago. Inside, the apartment was exactly as I'd left it that morning. Silent. Still. Like a museum exhibit of a life interrupted. I moved quickly to the bedroom closet, pushing aside dusty shoeboxes. My fingers closed around the cold metal of the blue tin. As I lifted it, a floorboard creaked behind me. I spun around. Daniel stood in the doorway, rainwater dripping from his coat. His smile was gone. His eyes were black pits. You shouldn't have come back, he said softly, stepping forward. In his hand he held Maya's phone, the one he'd surely tracked. Maya always was sentimental, but sentiment gets people hurt. The tin slipped from my fingers, clattering to the floor. Journals spilled out. Photos. And the small, blinking voice recorder. Daniel's gaze dropped to it. Then back to me. His voice was barely a whisper. You have no idea what you've done. Rain lashed the apartment windows as Daniel took another step forward, blocking the exit. The voice recorder lay on the floor between us, its tiny red light blinking like a heartbeat. My pulse roared in my ears, louder than the storm outside. You think you're saving her, Daniel said, his voice low and dangerous. But you're destroying her. Maya needs stability. I give her stability. He kicked the spilled journals aside, his polished shoe crushing a photo of Maya laughing on a beach, before him. You abandoned her after Mark died. Left her to be alone. I filled that emptiness. The lie burned. I'd never abandoned Maya. Daniel had isolated us, turning her against me with whispers that I was grieving too loudly, too needy. I forced my voice steady. She wrote in these journals, Daniel, about the nights you locked her out of the bedroom, the way you forgot her allergy meds when she upset you. His smile vanished. She's sick, Evelyn. Her mind plays tricks. You of all people should understand that. He gestured at the recorder. Delete those files. Give me the tin. Walk away. Or I'll make sure you never see her again. I inched toward the nightstand where I kept Mark's old fire poker. A relic from our fireplace days. Maya's not sick. You're poisoning her. Poisoning? He barked a laugh, but his eyes flickered to the recorder. That's what she told you. Classic Maya. Always the victim. He lunged, snatching the recorder. This ends now. I grabbed the fire poker just as he reached for me. The iron handle was cold and familiar in my grip. Mark had taught me to use it during a home safety class years ago. Aim for the knees, Evie. Always protect your exit. Daniel froze, eyes locked on the poker. You won't use that. Try me. My arms trembled, but I held it firm. Play the recording, Daniel. Let's hear what you really say to my daughter, when no one's watching. For a heartbeat, we stood in stalemate. Rain drummed the roof. Then, with deliberate slowness, Daniel pressed play on the recorder. Maya's voice filled the room thin with exhaustion. I didn't mean to burn dinner, I swear. It won't happen again. Daniel's voice cut in, sharp as shattered glass. You think I care about dinner? I care about control. You exist to serve me. Eat this. All of it. Or I'll tell your principal about your little nervous breakdown last month. They'll fire you. Then where will you go? Back to your useless mother. A choked sob followed Maya's. Then the scrape of a spoon. Gagging. Daniel's face went pale. He fumbled to stop the recording, but I stepped forward, the poker raised. There's more, isn't there? The soup. The pills Elena found. How long have you been doing this? His composure cracked. You don't understand. She was fading after Mark died. I saved her. I gave her purpose. He gestured wildly at the journals. Read them. See how she thanked me for fixing her. By starving her? By stealing her voice. Tears blurred my vision. That's not love. That's ownership. He lunged again, not at me, at the window. Glass shattered inward as he wrenched it open. Cold rain spraying the floor. If you won't listen, maybe the police will, he shouted over the storm. My wife's mother just broke into my home and threatened me with a weapon. Sirens wailed in the distance. He'd called them. Or timed this. My breath hitched. The fire poker felt heavy. Useless. Daniel backed toward the door, recorder still clutched in his hand. You have two choices, Evelyn. Leave. Forever. Or I'll bury you both. Then he was gone, slamming the apartment door behind him. I locked it, trembling, as headlights swept the street below. Not police. Daniel's sedan peeling away. I grabbed the tin, shoving journals and photos inside. The recorder was gone. But one journal lay open on the floor. Maya's most recent. My eyes caught a passage. He makes me drink tea every night. Says it calms my nerves. I vomit after. My hands shake all day. Today I saw my reflection and didn't recognize myself. Mama used to say my eyes were the color of summer leaves. Now they look like dirty glass. I tried calling her. He took the phone. Said, no one wants a broken thing. I am so tired of being broken. The words carved into my heart. I pocketed the journal, then ran downstairs to Elena's pickup. The drive back to the hospital was a blur of rain-slicked streets and flashing traffic lights. I parked haphazardly near the ER entrance, sprinting inside. The fourth-floor hallway was empty. Too empty. The nurse's station lamp was off. No one sat behind the desk. Hello. My voice echoed. Elena? Maya. Room 412's door stood ajar. I pushed it open. The bed was stripped bare. Empty. On the pillow lay a single sheet of hospital notepaper. My hands shook as I unfolded it. Evelyn. Maya's condition worsened. I've taken her to a private facility where she can get real help. You've caused enough damage. Stay away from us. Or I'll ensure you lose everything. Even your freedom. Daniel. No. The word tore from my throat. I spun toward the nurse's station, bursting into the supply closet beside it. Elena was there, bound to a rolling chair with medical tape, her mouth covered by duct tape. Her eyes widened when she saw me. I ripped the tape from her mouth. He took her, she gasped, spitting out stray fibers. 30 minutes ago. Said the doctors ordered a transfer. I tried to stop him. He threatened to have me fired for incompetence. She struggled against the tape. He knew about Priya. Knew you'd come here. I cut the tape with a pair of trauma shears from the supply cart. Where would he take her? Elena rubbed her wrists. His family owns a cabin upstate. Remote. No cell service. He mentioned it once when Maya needed rest. She pulled out her phone. Priya's on her way. But Evelyn, we can't wait. Maya's not stable enough for travel. If he stops her medications. Her words hung in the air. Daniel wouldn't stop the medications. He'd control them. Make her weaker. Make her disappear. Y grabé de Elena's keys. Take the truck. Get Priya. Meet me at the cabin. I scribbled the address from Maya's journal onto Elena's hand. Maple Ridge, Lot 7. A place we'd visited when Maya was 10. She'd loved the wild strawberries there. Evelyn, wait. Elena caught my arm. Daniel's dangerous. Let the police handle this. I thought of Maya's words on the page. I am so tired of being broken. He's had 2 years to break her, I said, heading for the stairs. I'm not giving him a third. The service elevator was too slow. I took the stairs 2 at a time, my old knees screaming in protest. Outside, rain still fell, turning the parking lot into a mirror of streetlights and shadows. I unlocked the pickup, fumbling for the ignition. Headlights flooded my rearview mirror. A black SUV idled at the lot's edge. Tinted windows. No plates. Daniel was watching. Waiting. I reversed sharply, tires screeching on wet asphalt. The SUV rolled forward. I slammed the gas pedal, swerving onto the main road. The SUV followed, relentless. I turned down narrow side streets, my mind racing. The cabin was a 3-hour drive. I'd never make it with him tailing me. Ahead, a police cruiser sat parked outside a convenience store. An idea sparked. I pulled abruptly into the store's lot, parking under the brightest light. The SUV slowed, then cruised past, disappearing into the rain. I ran inside, dripping wet. The clerk, a teenager with neon green hair, looked up from his phone. Can I use your phone? Emergency. He slid it across the counter without a word. I dialed 911. 911, what's your emergency? My daughter's been kidnapped by her husband, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. He's poisoning her. I have evidence. But he's following me. I need help now. I gave them the store's address, Daniel's car description, the cabin location. He has a head start. Please. The operator stayed calm. Stay where you are, ma'am. Units are en route. Can you describe the suspect? As I spoke, I watched the street through the store window. The black SUV circled the block. Closer this time. Mom? Are you still there? The SUV parked across the street. The driver's door opened. Daniel stepped out. He wasn't holding a weapon. He was holding Maya's blue tin. And he was smiling. Daniel's smile didn't reach his eyes as he stood under the flickering streetlight, Maya's blue tin gleaming in his hand like stolen treasure. Rain slicked his hair to his forehead. He raised the tin slightly in a mock salute. He knows I can't run, I thought. Not with the police minutes away. Not with him blocking my only exit. Inside the store, the fluorescent lights hummed overhead. The clerk, green hair, name tag reading decks, leaned closer whispering, "You okay, ma'am? That guy's been circling the block for 10 minutes. I kept the phone pressed to my ear. He's here. I told the 911 operator. Black SUV across the street. He has evidence of my daughter's abuse. Daniel began walking toward the store entrance. Slow. Deliberate. Stay on the line, ma'am, the operator urged. Help is 2 minutes out. I hung up and turned to Dex. Does this store have a back door? Yeah, but it's alarmed. He nodded toward the refrigerated drinks. Unless you know the code. Ido. Mark and I used to manage a convenience store decades ago. I taught him all the codes. I grabbed Dex's arm. When he comes in, distract him. Ask if he needs help finding something. Anything. Dex paled but nodded. Got it. The front door jingled open. Daniel stepped inside, shaking rain from his coat. His smile was polished, professional. Evening, he said smoothly. Just looking for my mother-in-law. Elderly woman, gray hair. Might be confused. Dex straightened, wiping hands on his apron. We had a lady here earlier, but she left out back. Said her Uber was waiting. He gestured vaguely toward the soda aisle. Can I help you find some chips or something? Daniel's gaze swept the empty aisles. His eyes locked onto me crouched behind the ice cream freezer. Evelyn, he called out, voice warm as honey. Don't be silly. Come say hello. I stayed hidden, fingers flying over the keypad beside the back door. For -7-2-9, Mark's birthday. The lock clicked open. Actually, Dex said loudly, stepping in front of Daniel, we just got this new energy drink. Free sample. He thrust a neon green can toward him. Daniel's polite mask slipped. I'm not interested. He tried to sidestep Dex, but the clerk blocked him again. Seriously, men. It'll change your life. Dex popped the tab with a loud hiss. I slipped through the back door into a narrow alley. Rain soaked my clothes instantly. Sirens wailed in the distance, close now. I ran toward the parked pickup, fumbling for Elena's keys. Headlights flooded the alley. Daniel's SUV screeched to a halt, blocking my path. He jumped out, tin still clutched in his hand. You think you've won, he shouted over the rain. This ends now, Evelyn. I reversed the pickup hard, tires skidding on wet asphalt. The SUV lurched forward, bumper scraping mine. Glass shattered. I slammed the gas, wrenching the wheel. The pickup fishtailed free, lurching onto the street just as police cruisers rounded the corner, lights flashing. Daniel sped away in the opposite direction. Officers swarmed the convenience store. I told them everything, the poisoning, the recordings, the cabin. Detective Ruiz, a woman with kind eyes and a no-nonsense bun, listened intently. We'll send units to Maple Ridge, she promised. But we need probable cause for a warrant. Do you have anything concrete? I handed her Maya's journal, the one I'd pocketed. Page 23. The night Daniel locked her in the garage for forgetting his work anniversary. Ruiz scanned the entry, her expression hardening. This helps. But we still wait for the warrant. I'm not waiting, I said. Maya's life is slipping away right now. Ruiz studied me, the soaked clothes, the shaking hands. I can't let you drive off alone. It's suicide. Then come with me. I met her gaze. You have a daughter, don't you? Something flickered in her eyes. She radioed her sergeant, then nodded. I'll follow you. But no heroics. The drive north was a blur of rain-streaked highways and pine forests. Ruiz's cruiser stayed close behind me. In the glow of the dashboard lights, I flipped open Maya's journal again. One passage stood out, dated 3 months ago. Daniel took me to the cabin this weekend. Said I needed air. He packed my favorite tea, the chamomile blend Mama used to make. But this tasted bitter. Metallic. I woke up on the floor of the bathroom, shaking. He was standing over me, holding a glass of water. You're imagining things, he said. You know how fragile you are. I looked in the mirror after he left. My pupils were so small, like pinpricks. I don't remember driving home. My throat tightened. That tea was how he'd started. Slowly, carefully, making her doubt her own mind. Ruiz's voice crackled over the radio. Evelyn, slow down. We're approaching the turnoff. Maple Ridge Road was unpaved, winding steeply into the mountains. Daniel's black SUV sat parked haphazardly near a small log cabin, driver's door hanging open. No lights showed in the windows. I stopped the pickup behind it. He's here. Ruiz parked beside me, hand on her holster. Stay behind me. The cabin door was unlocked. Inside, the smell hit me first, damp wood and something sharper. Chemical. The living room was sparse. A couch, a wood stove, Daniel's briefcase open on the table. Empty pill bottles littered the floor. Maya. I called softly. Silence. Then, a faint scraping sound from the bedroom. Ruiz motioned for me to stay put, but I followed. The bedroom door was closed. Ruiz knocked firmly. Police. Open up. No answer. She kicked the door open. The room was empty except for a single lamp casting long shadows. On the bed lay Maya's favorite scarf, the purple one I'd knitted her for graduation. Taped to it was a note. Evelyn. You always were stubborn. But Maya's mine. Always has been. Come inside. And she dies before the paramedics arrive. Ruiz radioed for backup, her voice tight. Suspect and victim are gone. Possible hostage situation in vehicle. I stepped past her to the window. Through the rain, I saw tire tracks leading deeper into the woods, toward the old ranger station. A crumbling stone structure Mark and I had hiked to when Maya was a child. He's taking her there, I said. It's isolated. No cell service. Ruiz frowned. We wait for the team. He'll kill her. The words tore from me. Don't you see? The journal, the poisoning. It was never about control. It was about erasure. He wants to wipe her clean so only his version of her remains. I grabbed my coat. I'm going. Evelyn, stop. It's dark. The trails are dangerous. I was already out the door, following the tire tracks. Mud sucked at my shoes. Branches clawed my arms. The ranger station loomed ahead, its broken windows like empty eye sockets. Then I heard it, a muffled cry. Maya's voice. Help. Please. A man's voice cut her off. Sharp. Angry. Daniel. I crouched behind a pine tree, heart hammering. Moonlight cut through the clouds, illuminating the station's porch. Daniel stood there, holding Maya upright. She was barefoot, wearing only a thin hospital gown, shivering violently. Her face was turned away from him, toward the woods. Toward me. Her eyes met mine. Wide. Terrified. But clear. She mouthed two words, run. Now. Daniel hadn't seen me yet. He was too focused on forcing a thermos to Maya's lips. Drink, he commanded. You need your medicine. Maya's hand flew up, knocking the thermos away. Tea splattered across the porch boards, sizzling faintly where it hit the wood. Daniel backhanded her. Maya crumpled to her knees. I didn't think. I ran. Maya. I screamed. Daniel's head snapped up. His eyes found me in the shadows. He smiled, a cold, feral thing, and pulled a small black object from his pocket. Not a gun. A phone. He held it up, thumb hovering over the screen. One step closer, Evelyn, and I pressed send. This message goes to every news outlet in the state. About how you broke into our home. Threatened Maya. How your grief made you dangerous. His voice dropped to a whisper meant only for me. They'll lock you up forever. And Maya? She'll finally be free of you. Maya raised her head. Blood trickled from her split lip. But her eyes blazed with fury. Don't listen to him, Mama. He's lying. The real message is. Daniel clamped a hand over her mouth. Enough, he snarled. I froze 10 feet away, rain streaming down my face. The thermos lay spilled at Maya's knees, its contents still steaming. That tea had made her weak, made her forget herself. But she remembered me. Daniel's thumb tightened on the phone screen. Last chance, Evelyn. Walk away. Or lose everything. Maya's eyes locked onto mine. In them, I saw the little girl who danced in flour-dusted kitchens. The teacher who stayed late to help struggling students. The woman who'd hidden a voice recorder under her pillow, fighting to be heard. She gave the tiniest shake of her head. Don't surrender. Behind Daniel, the ranger station's old stone chimney cast a long shadow across the porch. At its base lay a rusted fire axe, left by rangers years ago. My gaze flickered to it. Then back to Daniel. He followed my look. His smile vanished. Don't you dare. I lunged. I lunged for the rusted fire axe. Metal shrieked against stone as I wrenched it free. Daniel shoved Maya aside. His phone forgotten on the porch boards. Stay back, he yelled, backing toward the tree line. But Maya, my brave broken Maya, grabbed his ankle. He stumbled, crashing onto the wet wood. The phone skidded toward me. I kicked it into the darkness, axe raised. It's over, Daniel. He scrambled up, breathing hard. You think this is about me? Maya chose this. She needed someone to make her strong. His eyes darted past me. Sirens cut through the rain. You brought police? After everything I gave her. Detective Ruiz's cruiser fishtailed into the clearing. Lights painting the trees red and blue. 2 more units followed. Daniel made a desperate grab for the spilled thermos, but I stomped on it. Glass shattered, the bitter scent of chamomile and something chemical flooding the air. Ruiz emerged, gun drawn. Daniel Salter. Hands where I can see them. He froze, chest heaving. Then he smiled, a broken, trembling thing. You don't understand. I was saving her. From herself. From her. He pointed at me. Evelyn poisoned her mind first. Made her weak. Maya's voice, thin but fierce, cut through the rain. No. She crawled toward the porch steps, her hospital gown soaked through. He lied. To both of you. Her fingers closed around a jagged shard of the thermos. This tea. It wasn't just to control me. She held up the glass, liquid dripping like blood. He's been practicing. Perfecting the dose. So when he gave it to her, she nodded at me. No one would question it. Daniel's face went slack. Maya, don't. You told me yourself, she whispered, tears mixing with rain on her cheeks. After Mama's heart scare last year. You said, one day she'll slip away quietly. And no one will blame the grieving son-in-law. The words hit me like ice water. Daniel hadn't just been breaking Maya. He'd been rehearsing my murder. Ruiz's voice was steel. Turn around. Now. Officers swarmed the porch. Daniel didn't resist as they cuffed him. His eyes stayed locked on Maya. You'll regret this, he mouthed silently. No one will ever love you like I did. Maya flinched as if struck. Then she straightened her shoulders. I'd rather be alone than owned. They led Daniel away, his polished shoes squelching in the mud. Ruiz knelt beside Maya. Ambulance is 2 minutes out. Can you tell me what he gave you? Maya shook her head weakly. I don't know. But it's in his briefcase. At the cabin. Blue pills. He called it peace. She gripped Ruiz's arm. My mom's purse. At the hospital. He put pills in it. To frame her. Ruiz radioed the details, her face grim. I gathered Maya into my arms, her bones sharp against my chest. She smelled of rain and antiseptic and that awful tea. You came for me, she breathed. Always. I whispered into her hair. The ambulance arrived in a whirl of light and noise. Paramedics wrapped Maya in blankets, checking her vitals. As they lifted her onto a stretcher, she caught my wrist. The recorder, she rasped. Daniel took it. But I have backups. Cloud drive. Password. Sunshine and rainbows, I finished. I know. Her lips curved faintly. Then her eyes fluttered closed. Ruiz approached as the ambulance doors slammed shut. She's stable. We'll escort her to St. Vincent's. She handed me a dry blanket from her cruiser. Daniel's singing like a canary. Claims he was protecting Maya from your influence. But that thermos residue. She tapped her radio. Lab says it matches traces found in your purse. He's facing attempted murder charges for both of you. Relief washed over me, so strong I swayed on my feet. Ruiz steadied me. Go with your daughter. I'll handle Daniel. The drive back was a blur of highway lights and Maya's shallow breathing. At the hospital, doctors whisked her away for tests. Elena met me in the ER waiting room, her scrub stained with coffee. Priya's pulling Daniel's financials, she said urgently. He wasn't working alone. Those donations to the hospital? Funneled through a shell company. And guess who signed the checks? Who? Dr. Chun. Maya's physician. Elena's voice dropped. Daniel's been blackmailing him for years. Chen's son has gambling debts. Daniel paid them off. In exchange for altered medical records. The betrayal cut deep. I trusted that man with Maya's life. Elena squeezed my hand. Priya's getting a warrant for Chen's office. But Evelyn, Daniel's not working alone in another way. Those blue pills Elena found? They're not just sedatives. They contain a rare toxin. One only available to researchers. A cold dread settled in my stomach. What kind of researchers? Pharmaceutical labs. High-security ones. Elena pulled out her phone, showing me a photo. It was Daniel, smiling beside a silver-haired man in a lab coat at some charity gala. The name tag read, Dr. Eris Thorne, Viridian Pharmaceuticals. My blood turned to ice. The tea. It wasn't just for me. A tear slipped down her temple. Daniel said, once I was gone, you'd be next. And Thorne. He has your medicine. My breath caught. My blood pressure medication. Prescribed by Dr. Chun. Filled at the pharmacy Daniel insisted I use. Maya's hand found mine. He's been replacing it. Little by little. For months. Her gaze held mine, fierce despite her weakness. You have to get new pills. Now. Before. The heart monitor spiked. Nurses rushed in, gently guiding me out. "She's exhausted," one said firmly. "You can return in an hour." I stumbled into the hallway, the world tilting. Daniel hadn't just stolen Maya's life. He'd been slowly stealing mine. And Eris Thorne, Mark's closest friend, had handed him the keys. Ruiz appeared, holding an evidence bag containing my purse from the hospital. "We found the pills. Lab's testing them tonight." Her expression softened. "Go home, Evelyn. Sleep. We'll keep guard over Maya." Sleep? I couldn't. Not knowing Thorne could be altering every prescription in my cabinet. Not knowing how deep this went. I took the elevator down, my legs numb. The lobby was quiet at this hour. At the pharmacy counter, a young tech was restocking shelves. An idea sparked. "I need an emergency refill," I said, sliding my prescription card across the counter. "Evelyn Winters. Blood pressure medication." The tech type then frowned. "Sorry, Mrs. Winters. Your last refill was denied. Dr. Chun flagged it. Said you've been getting duplicate prescriptions from another pharmacy." Of course he had. Daniel's final trap. Cut off my legitimate medication, then poison the backups. "Actually," I said, my voice steady, "I'd like to transfer my prescription to a new doctor and a new pharmacy. One across town." I named the clinic Priya had mentioned, the one specializing in abuse survivors. The tech nodded sympathetically. "Happens more than you'd think. Give me 20 minutes to process the transfer." I sat in the hard plastic waiting area, watching the city lights through the rain-streaked windows. My phone buzzed, a text from Elena. "Dr. Chun arrested. Thorne's office sealed. Priya found emails." He knew everything. Relief ward with fury. They'd pay. All of them. But as I stared at my trembling hands, a new fear took root. How much damage had already been done? How many of my pills had been tainted? Was the dizziness I blamed on stress actually poison? The tech called my name. I took the new prescription bottle, the white label crisp and clean. "First doses on the house," she said kindly. "Rough night." I managed a smile. "You have no idea." Outside, dawn was breaking over the city. Pink light bled through the clouds. I popped one pill dry, swallowing it like hope. Then I turned back toward the elevators. Toward Maya. Toward the fight ahead. Daniel thought he'd broken us. But mothers and daughters? Were made of sterner stuff. The elevator doors opened. Ruiz stood inside, her face tense. "Evelyn, we need you. Maya's awake. She's insisting on talking to you. Says it's urgent." As the doors closed, I clutched the new pill bottle like a weapon. Whatever Maya needed to say, I was ready. This time I wouldn't look away. The elevator doors slid shut with a soft ding, sealing me in with Ruiz. Her knuckles were white on the railing. "Maya's been asking for you since they brought her back," she said, voice low. She kept saying, "He has a backup plan." I think she means Daniel. I clutched the new pill bottle in my pocket like a talisman. She knows more than she's saying. About Thorne. About everything. Ruiz nodded grimly. "Forensics matched the thermos residue to the pills in your purse. Same toxin, aconite. Rare. Deadly slow." She met my eyes. "Thorne's been cooperating with investigators. Claims he didn't know Daniel was using it on humans. Says he thought it was just for stress tests." I almost laughed. Mark's best friend wouldn't look me in the eye at the funeral. Now I know why. The elevator slowed. Maya's been his practice ground. And I was next. The doors opened to the ICU hallway. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting long shadows. Outside Maya's room, 2 uniformed officers stood guard. Ruiz nodded to them. "She's stable but barely. Whatever she needs to tell you. Make it quick." I pushed the door open slowly. Maya lay propped on pillows, oxygen tubes under her nose. Her eyes fluttered open as I entered. "Mama," she whispered, her voice rough but clear. "You came back." I kissed her forehead. "Always." Her skin was cool, but her pulse felt steady under my thumb. "Ruiz said you needed to talk." Maya's gaze darted to the door. "Lock it." I slid the bolt. When I turned back, she was struggling to sit up. I helped her, fluffing pillows behind her. "Daniel didn't work alone on the poison," she rasped. "Thorne supplied it. But he kept a failsafe." She gripped my wrist, her fingers surprisingly strong. A backup batch. Hidden where no one would think to look. Where? The lake house. Her breath hitched. Thorne's upstate cabin, the one where he scattered Mark's ashes. Daniel took me there last fall. I saw Thorne hide a case under the dock. Said it was emergency supplies. But I heard them arguing about dosage levels after I pretended to sleep. She squeezed tighter. Thorne's scared now. He'll use it. To silence us both. My blood ran cold. Mark's ashes. Daniel and Thorne had turned his final resting place into a poison cache. We'll get it, sweetheart. The police. No. Maya's eyes flashed with old fire. They're watching police channels. Daniel's lawyer visited Thorne an hour ago. If cops go near that lake house, Thorne will dump the case. Or worse, he'll send someone to finish what Daniel started. She pulled a small silver hairpin from her braid. A butterfly, one I'd given her for her 16th birthday. Take this. Go alone. Thorne won't suspect a grieving widow. I tucked the hairpin into my pocket. It felt warm against my skin. What about you? I can't leave you. You have to. Tears spilled down her cheeks. They're poisoning the new pills too, Mama. The ones from the hospital pharmacy. Dr. Chen's replacement prescribed them this morning. Thorne's reach is everywhere. She pressed a folded paper into my hand. This is the combination to Thorne's dock lock. Please. Before it's too late. Before I could argue, the door handle rattled. Ruiz's voice came through the wood. Evelyn? We have a situation. Daniel's lawyer is downstairs. He's demanding to see Maya. And he has a court order. Maya's face paled. He'll twist her words, she whispered urgently. Make her seem unstable again. Buy time for Thorne. She shoved the paper deeper into my palm. Go now. Through the service stairs. I'll hold them off. I kissed her forehead again, breathing in the scent of hospital soap and her familiar vanilla shampoo. I'll be back before you miss me. Promise. Cross my heart. The old phrase, Mark's phrase, hung between us. Maya managed a faint smile. I slipped out the service door just as Ruiz's key turned in the lock. Down the stairs, my legs ached, but fear pushed me faster. On the first floor landing, Priya Sharma stood waiting, her dark eyes sharp behind glasses. Elena texted me, she said without preamble. I pulled Thorne's financials. He transferred $500,000 to Daniel's offshore account last week. Labeled research funding. She handed me a tablet showing the transaction. And look at this. The screen displayed Thorne's calendar. Yesterday's entry. Pick up E. Winter's prescription refills. Double dose. My stomach dropped. He accessed my records. After Daniel was arrested. He's not done with you, Priya said grimly. I have a friend at the FDA. She confirmed aconite causes heart arrhythmias that mimic natural causes. Perfect for widows with pre-existing conditions. She grabbed my arm. We need that backup batch. Thorne's cabin is 3 hours north. I'll drive. But Maya is safer with Ruiz guarding her room than you are here. Priya's gaze was unflinching. Thorne knows you took new pills tonight. He'll expect you to feel safe. That's when he'll strike. We hurried through the ER exit into the gray dawn. Rain had stopped, leaving the world slick and glistening. Priya's sedan sat near the ambulance bay. A plain gray sedan, easy to overlook. As I opened the passenger door, my eyes caught movement across the lot. Daniel's lawyer, Carl Reeves, stood by a black town car, talking to a man in a rumpled suit. Reeves pointed toward the hospital entrance. The other man nodded, then turned, and I saw the glint of a Viridian Pharmaceuticals badge on his lapel. Thorne's head of security. Priya followed my gaze. Get in. Now. She started the engine, pulling away fast. In the side mirror, I saw the town car's headlights flare on. They're following us, I breathed. Priya's hands tightened on the wheel. Let them. We're not going to the lake house yet. She took a sharp left down a narrow alley. Thorne's arrogant. He thinks you're running scared. But grieving mothers. She glanced at me, a flicker of respect in her eyes. We're the most dangerous kind. She parked behind a shuttered bakery, engine idling. I need you to trust me, Evelyn. Completely. From her glove compartment, she pulled 2 burner phones and a small velvet pouch. New numbers only Priya and Ruiz know. The pouch has activated charcoal pills. If you suspect poison again, take 2 immediately. It binds toxins. She pressed them into my hands. Now listen carefully. We'll lose the tail on the highway. Then you'll go to the lake house alone. I'll circle back to watch the cabin. If Thorn shows, I call Ruiz. But why alone? Because Thorn will let a broken old woman into his home, Priya said softly. He won't see the weapon you carry. She touched the butterfly hairpin in my pocket. Maya's right. That's not just a trinket. It's a lockpick. I taught her how to use it when she volunteered at my shelter. I stared at the silver butterfly, its wings delicate but strong. Maya had been fighting longer than I knew. Priya's phone buzzed. She read the text, face hardening. Ruiz just called. Reeves got the court order. He's in Maya's room now. I fumbled for the door handle. I have to go back. Priya's hand shot out, stopping me. Maya's ready for him. She asked Ruiz to record everything. And she's not alone. Priya's eyes gleamed. Elena's there too. With a surprise. Before I could ask, Priya accelerated out of the alley. The town car's headlights appeared in the rearview mirror. But Priya weaved through side streets with practiced ease, vanishing into morning traffic as the city woke up around us. As we reached the highway ramp, my phone buzzed. A text from Maya. Mama, tell Thorn something for me. Tell him I remember the strawberries. Priya glanced over. Strawberries. The summer I turned 10, I whispered. Mark took us to Thorn's lake house. Maya and I picked wild strawberries by the dock. Thorn smiled and said, Sweetest things hide in dangerous places. I closed my fist around the hairpin. He has no idea what he's hidden in that dock. Up ahead, dawn painted the sky in streaks of gold and rose. Priya merged onto the highway, the town car nowhere in sight. But in the passenger seat, I felt the weight of the hairpin, the charcoal pills, the folded paper with Thorn's combination. Maya was right. This wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about taking back what they stole. I rolled down the window, letting the cool air rush in. Somewhere ahead, a dock waited. And beneath its weathered planks, justice slept. Priya's sedan hummed along the highway, pine forests blurring past the windows. She handed me a burner phone. Maya just texted again. Listen. She pressed play on a voice memo. Maya's voice, weak but steady, filled the car. Reeves is here. Asking why I made up the poisoning. I told him about the thermos. About Thorn's cabin. He laughed. Said no jury would believe a mentally fragile teacher over 2 respected doctors. A pause, then Steele. So I showed him the photos. The ones from my phone before Daniel smashed it. The bruises. The locked pantry where he stored my special tea. And the recording from last Tuesday, Daniel telling Thorn, once Evelyn's gone, the trust fund is mine. She'll never see Maya's inheritance coming. My throat tightened. How did she have those? Priya smiled grimly. Elena. She'd been smuggling Maya's phone charger and meal trays. Maya backed everything up to a library computer across the street. Reeves turned ghost white. Ruiz just arrested him for witness tampering. She glanced at me. Maya's safe. For now. Focus on Thorn. We exited the highway 2 towns before the lake. Priya parked behind a shuttered bait shop. Thorn's watching the main roads. We go the rest of the way on foot through the woods. Like Mark used to take you. The name hit me like a physical blow. Mark had loved this place, kayaking at dawn, teaching Maya to skip stones. Now it was a graveyard for his trust. Priya handed me a small backpack. Waterproof matches. Flashlight. And this. She placed a cold metal object in my palm. A pocket knife with a mother-of-pearl handle. Mark's, she said softly. Ruiz found it in evidence lockup. Daniel stole it from your house after Mark's funeral. I traced the worn grooves where Mark's thumb had rested. He kept it as a trophy. No, Priya corrected. As insurance. He knew you'd come for it someday. That's why we're here first. She pointed toward a dirt path. Follow this to the ridge. You'll see the lake. Thorn's dock is the 3rd one down. I'll circle the cabin. If I see Thorn, I signal with 2 owl hoots. The woods swallowed me whole. Sunlight dappled through pine needles, catching on spiderwebs like scattered diamonds. I walked softly, remembering Mark's voice. Quiet feet, Evie. The deer hear your heart before they see you. Halfway up the ridge I paused. Below, Lake Serene glittered, its surface broken only by a lone canoe drifting near the shore. Thorn's cabin stood apart from the others, modern glass and steel where the rest were weathered wood. Arrogance. Even in hiding, he needed to dominate. I checked the combination paper. 3-8-2-0. Maya's birth year. The year Mark got his promotion at Viridian. The year Thorn's betrayal began. From the ridge, I slipped down a deer trail to the shoreline. The canoe rocked gently as I approached. Empty. Water lapped at the hull, whispering secrets. I waded through reeds to the third dock. Weathered planks, algae slick. At its base, a heavy padlock secured a submerged metal box. I knelt, water soaking my knees. The combination lock was stiff with rust. I worked the butterfly hairpin into its mechanism. Maya's lessons flooding back. Feel for the clicks, Mama. Like tuning Mark's old guitar. Click, click. The third tumbler resisted. Sweat dripped into my eyes. In my mind, Maya's voice urged me on. Click. The lock sprang open. I heaved the metal box onto the dock. It was heavier than expected. Inside, vials glinted in the sunlight. Dozens of them filled with amber liquid. Aconite. Beside them lay a ledger. Thorn's meticulous handwriting detailed dosages, dates, and a chilling column labeled test subjects. My name was there. Evelyn Winters. Initial dose, 0.5 milligrams. Current tolerance, 2.8 milligrams. Projected heart failure, 90 days. Below it, Maya's name. Doses escalating over 2 years. Notes like increased paranoia, affective, and memory lapses confirmed. Rage burned through me. I flipped to the last page. A new entry. Cleanup protocol. Eliminate Winter's women. Frame suicide. Secure inheritance. A twig snapped on the shore. I slammed the box shut, scrambling behind a boulder. Footsteps crunched on gravel. 2 figures emerged from the trees, Thorn and his security chief, Carl Reeves. Thorn hadn't aged well. His silver hair was wild, his lab coat stained. I told you she'd come, he hissed at Reeves. Grieving widows always return to the source. Reeves scanned the docks. No car. No witnesses. We can still make it look like an accident. Thorn knelt at the water's edge, running a hand over the disturbed reeds. She's here. I can feel it. His voice cracked. After everything I did for Mark. For her. This is how she repays me? I clutched Mark's knife under my shirt. Steady, Evie. Reeves kicked a pinecone into the lake. Daniel's finished. You should cut ties. Take the money and run. Thorn's head snapped up. Run? I built Viridian's research division. My name is on patents that save lives. He paced the dock, agitated. Mark knew the stakes. He signed the non-disclosure agreement. But then he got cold feet about the human trials. His voice dropped. I had to make an example. The heart attack was so convenient. The words froze my blood. Mark hadn't died naturally. Thorn had killed him. Reeves frowned. You never said anything about the husband. Of course not. Thorn spat. Daniel was my tool. His greed made him perfect. Take care of Evelyn, he'd say. She's too fragile to manage her inheritance. He laughed bitterly. Fragile? Evelyn Winters survived the Detroit riots. She raised Maya alone after Mark's accident. She's the strongest person I've ever known. He pulled a syringe from his coat, which is why the dose must be exact. They were close now, 10 feet from my hiding spot. Thorn crouched by the locked box. She opened it, he whispered. Smart girl. Always was. He stood, syringe gleaming. Find her. I want her to understand why this is necessary. Reeves drew a gun. With pleasure. I held my breath as they split up. Reeves toward the woods, Thorn toward the boulders. His shadow stretched across the rocks, almost touching my shoe. Then a distant hoot. 2 sharp calls. An owl. Priya's signal. Help was coming. Thorn froze. Did you hear that? Reeves called from the trees. Just a bird. Thorn stepped closer. Evelyn. His voice softened, almost gentle. I know you're there. Come out. Let me explain. For Mark's sake. I pressed deeper into the rock's crevice, knife slick in my palm. Mark loved you, Thorn continued. But he was weak. He wanted to expose the trials. Ruin everything. His shadow shifted. He was scanning the boulders. I saved Viridian. Saved countless lives with that research. What's one widow's life against that? Click. The safety on Reeves' gun slid off behind me. Thorne's eyes locked onto mine. There you are. I lunged, not at Thorne but at the metal box. I hurled it into the lake. The splash echoed like a gunshot. Thorne screamed. No! That was the last batch. He scrambled after it, slipping on the wet rocks. I ran toward the woods, Reeves' footsteps pounding behind me. Branches whipped my face. Ahead, Priya emerged from the trees, phone raised. Police en route. Drop your weapon. Reeves fired. The bullet ripped through my shoulder. I stumbled, crashing to my knees. Priya tackled Reeves. They rolled in the dirt, grappling for the gun. Thorne waded back to shore, empty-handed, face twisted with rage. He saw me kneeling, blood soaking my shirt. A slow smile spread across his face. Perfect, he whispered. The grieving widow, drowned after her daughter's traumatic death. How poetic. He pulled a second syringe. Let me make it painless. I raised Mark's knife. You killed him. Thorne hesitated. Mark? No. His heart. You poisoned him too. The truth settled on me, cold and certain. Like you poisoned Maya. Like you tried to poison me. Sirens wailed in the distance. Thorne's eyes darted toward the road. He lunged, syringe aimed at my neck. I slashed upward with the knife. Not to kill. To mark. The blade caught his forearm. He cried out, dropping the syringe. It shattered on the rocks, the liquid sizzling like acid. Priya pinned Reeves, breathing hard. Evelyn. You okay? Thorne backed away, clutching his bleeding arm. You'll regret this, he spat. Viridian will bury you. I stood, swaying but steady. No. They'll bury you. I held up my burner phone, recording light blinking red. Mark's last voicemail to me. It was about you. About the trials. I never deleted it. Thorne's face drained of color. That's impossible. I erased. Cloud backup, I said softly. Mark taught me that trick. The sirens grew louder. Thorne turned to flee but tripped over a root. He fell hard, his head striking a rock. He didn't move. Priya cuffed Reeves, then rushed to me. Hold pressure on your shoulder. Help's coming. I sank to the ground, watching dawn paint the lake gold. In my pocket, the butterfly hairpin glinted. Maya's weapon. Maya's hope. Priya knelt beside me. The box. Did you see what was inside? I nodded. Enough to put them all away. I touched the recorder in my other hand. And enough to bring Mark home. As the first police cruiser rounded the bend, I closed my eyes. In the silence between sirens, I heard Maya's voice on the wind, clear, strong, and finally free. Mama, she whispered. I remember the strawberries. Sunlight streamed through the hospital window, painting stripes across my bandaged shoulder. I woke to the steady beep of monitors and the sharp scent of antiseptic. Ruiz sat beside my bed. Her uniform rumpled. Coffee cup forgotten on the tray table. Easy, she murmured, helping me sip water. Reeves' bullet clipped your shoulder muscle. Clean shot. You'll heal. Priya appeared in the doorway, holding 2 evidence bags. Thorne's alive but critical. Head trauma. He's been mumbling about witnesses since surgery. She set down the bags. One held the waterlogged ledger from the lake. The other Mark's old Viridian ID badge, recovered from Thorne's cabin. Reeves confessed everything. Thorne paid him to monitor you after Mark's funeral. To make sure Daniel stayed on script. I touched the bandage. And Daniel. Charged with attempted murder for both of you. Added to his kidnapping and evidence tampering charges. Ruiz's eyes softened. Maya's awake. She's been asking for you. I swung my legs over the bed. Take me to her. Ruiz helped me into a wheelchair. But I insisted on walking the last few steps to Maya's room. When I pushed open the door, my breath caught. Maya sat propped against pillows, color returning to her cheeks. She held a crayon drawing. A purple butterfly soaring over a field of strawberries. Her smile was tired but real. Mama, she whispered. I sank into the chair beside her. Tears blurring my vision. You're so strong. We're strong, she corrected, squeezing my hand. Priya showed me the recording from the lake. You faced Thorn alone. Not alone, I said. You gave me the weapon. I touched the butterfly hairpin still in my pocket. Priya cleared her throat gently. There's more. Thorn's ledger. It had Mark's file. She opened the water-stained pages to a section labeled Subject Alpha. Thorn didn't just poison Mark's heart medication. He accelerated Mark's condition to cover up Viridian's illegal trials. Mark found out. Maya's grip tightened on my hand. Daniel knew, she said quietly. He told me last year. Said Mark got in the way of progress. That's when I started recording him. She looked down at her drawing. I should have told you sooner. No, I said fiercely. You survived. That's what matters. A nurse entered with a new 4-bag. Time for your clean meds, Mrs. Winters. She hung the bag, clear fluid, no hidden shadows. Toxicology confirmed your old prescriptions were laced with aconite. This is pure. After she left, Maya reached under her pillow. She pulled out a small terracotta pot holding a single green shoot. I had Priya bring it from home, she said softly. A strawberry seedling. From the ones we planted on your balcony last spring. I traced the tender leaves. The ones Daniel said wouldn't grow. They did, Maya whispered. While he wasn't watching. We sat in comfortable silence, the morning light warm on our skin. For the first time in years the air felt clear. No hidden toxins. No lies waiting in the shadows. Ruiz's phone buzzed. She stepped into the hall, returning moments later with a tight expression. Thorn regained consciousness an hour ago. He's refusing treatment until he speaks to you, Evelyn. My stomach clenched. Why? He says he has information about the real architect behind Mark's death. Claims Daniel and he were just pawns. Maya's eyes widened. There's someone else? Ruiz shrugged. Could be a stalling tactic. Or a dying man's guilt. Either way, the DA wants you there. Thorn's lawyer is demanding a closed-door meeting before arraignment. I stood, wincing as my shoulder pulled. I'll go. Maya caught my wrist. Don't trust him, Mama. He'll twist every word. I know. I kissed her forehead. But if there's even a chance he knows who really killed Mark, I have to hear it. Priya walked me to the ICU wing. Thorn's room was guarded by 2 officers. Through the window I saw him, pale against white sheets, an oxygen tube under his nose. His silver hair was matted with blood. Ruiz nodded to the guards. 5 minutes. We'll be watching. I entered alone. Thorn's eyes fluttered open. They held no warmth, only calculation. Evelyn, he rasped. You look well. The aconite didn't take as quickly as I'd hoped. I stayed by the door. Why ask for me, heiress? His gaze drifted to the heart monitor beside him, its steady beep filling the silence. I didn't kill Mark alone, he said abruptly. There was a board member. Someone who stood to gain millions when Viridian's stock soared after the trials went public. He coughed, wincing. Daniel found me through him. This person funded Daniel's research on you and Maya. Made sure hospitals looked the other way. Who? My voice barely carried. Thorn's lips curved into a ghost of a smile. You knew him, Evelyn. He held your hand at Mark's funeral. Brought you soup when you were grieving too loudly. His breath hitched. He's been watching you this whole time. Waiting for you to break. Ice flooded my veins. Only one person had done those things. Someone I trusted implicitly after Mark died. Someone who'd smoothed over Daniel's early manipulations, calling them misunderstandings. Before I could speak, Thorn's monitor shrieked, a flat, endless tone. His body jerked once, then stilled. The door burst open as nurses rushed in. Ruiz pulled me back into the hall. His heart gave out, a nurse said grimly. We lost him. Ruiz's hand closed over my arm. What did he say? I stared at the chaos through the window, nurses shouting, defibrillator paddles charging. Thorn's chest rose once under their hands, then fell still. The monitor flatlined. He named someone, I whispered. Someone who's still out there. Priya appeared beside us, face tight. Maya's room is secure. But listen, Thorn's lawyer just leaked bail hearing details to the press. Daniel's out in 48 hours unless we find something solid. She lowered her voice. He's already texting contacts. Ruiz's radio crackled. She listened, then paled. Evelyn, go to Maya. Now, Daniel's lawyer just filed an emergency motion. Claims Maya's unfit to testify due to mental instability. He's demanding custody of her medical records and her person. I ran down the hall past startled orderlies. Maya's door stood open. 2 security guards stood inside, but not Ruiz's officers. These men wore crisp suits, earpieces glinting. Daniel's men. Maya sat rigid in bed, clutching her strawberry plant. One guard held a legal document. Mrs. Salter, you're coming with us for your own protection. I stepped into the doorway. Get out. The lead guard smirked. Or what, old lady? Your shoulder's still bleeding. Maya's eyes met mine. In them, I saw the same fire that had hidden voice recorders under hospital pillows. The same spirit that had scrawled "help me" on a scrap of paper while pretending to sleep. She raised the terracotta pot. This, she said clearly, is evidence. She hurled it at the guard's head. Dirt and ceramic shards exploded across the room. As the guards lunged, I grabbed the 4-pole beside Maya's bed. Ruiz and Priya burst in, guns drawn. Freeze! Ruiz shouted. These men are under arrest for attempted kidnapping. In the chaos, Maya pressed something cold into my hand. A key. Her classroom key. Go to Jefferson Elementary, she whispered urgently. My desk drawer. There's a flash drive taped underneath. Daniel doesn't know I took it from his briefcase last month. Her voice dropped to a thread. It has everything. Bank transfers. Emails. Names. The guards were cuffed and dragged away. Ruiz turned to me. Evelyn, this is too dangerous. Let the police handle it. I pocketed the key, my shoulder throbbing. Daniel thinks he's won. He thinks we're broken. I touched Maya's cheek. But we remember who we are. Outside, dusk painted the sky in bruised purples and golds. I slipped down the service elevator, the weight of the key heavy in my pocket. Jefferson Elementary waited. A fortress of childhood memories and hidden truths. And somewhere in that quiet building, a flash drive held the name of the person who'd watched us break. The real monster behind the silence. The elementary school stood silent in the moonlight, its brick facade familiar yet strange. I hadn't set foot here since Maya's parent-teacher conferences years ago. Now, armed with her classroom key and a heart pounding with dread, I slipped through the side entrance Priya had shown me. The hallway smelled of chalk dust and children's laughter trapped in the walls. Room 14. Maya's sanctuary. I turned the key, the click echoing like a gunshot in the empty building. Inside, her desk sat exactly as she'd left it. Papers neatly stacked, a half-finished mug of tea congealing beside a photo of us from her graduation day. I reached beneath the drawer, fingers brushing cold metal. The flash drive taped underneath came free with a soft tear. As I pocketed it, my phone buzzed. A text from Priya. Thorne's funeral tomorrow. Daniel's attending. Bring the drive to Judge Whitaker first thing. I was about to leave when a floorboard creaked behind me. Going somewhere, Evelyn? I froze. The voice wasn't Daniel's. It was deeper, calmer. Familiar. I turned slowly. In the doorway stood Arthur Whitaker, Mark's oldest friend, the man who delivered the eulogy at his funeral, the judge who'd presided over half the cases in this county. His silver hair gleamed under the classroom lights. His suit was immaculate. His smile didn't reach his eyes. You, I whispered. The third person Thorne had mentioned. The man who'd brought me soup after Mark died. Who'd held my hand when the grief threatened to drown me. Arthur stepped inside, closing the door softly behind him. I wondered when you'd find that drive. He nodded at my pocket. Maya was always too clever for her own good. My hand tightened around Maya's desk. Why Arthur? Mark was your best friend. Mark was weak, Arthur said, his voice losing its warmth. He discovered Viridian's illegal trials. Thorne panicked. Daniel was desperate for money after his business failed. And you? He smiled sadly. You were the perfect widow. Grieving. Trusting. Alone. You orchestrated everything. The pieces crashed together, the funeral, the comfort. The way he'd steered me toward letting Daniel manage my finances after Mark died. You used Mark's death to get to me. Arthur sighed, pulling a small handgun from his jacket. I didn't want it to end like this. I truly admired your strength, Evelyn. But Maya's drive contains emails between us. Bank transfers. Proof I funded Daniel's research on you both. He raised the gun slightly. Accidents happen in empty schools. A grieving mother, distraught over her daughter's condition. My mind raced. Arthur knew I had the drive. He knew I'd tell Ruiz. There was no bluffing my way out. Then I remembered Maya's last words before I left the hospital. If anything happens to me, Mama, check the strawberry plant. The red one. I thought she meant the seedling in her room. But Maya was always 2 steps ahead. I edged toward the windowsill where a small pot of strawberries sat, bright red berries glowing in the moonlight. Arthur followed my gaze. Sentimental fool. She kept that plant on her desk for years. Like Mark kept his promise to you, I said suddenly. The promise to stay silent about Viridian's trials. Arthur's grip on the gun faltered. What? I reached for the strawberry plant, my fingers digging into the soil. Mark told me everything before he died. How you pressured him to falsify trial results. How when he refused, you threatened Maya's college fund. I pulled out a small waterproof pouch. He hid this in the plant the day he died. Recorded evidence of your blackmail. Arthur's face went slack. That's impossible. I searched his things after. After you and Thorne made his heart attack look natural? I opened the pouch, withdrawing a tiny USB drive. Mark knew he was dying. He knew why. This goes to the FBI if anything happens to me or Maya. For the first time, fear flickered in Arthur's eyes. The gun lowered. Sirens cut through the night. Red and blue lights flashed through the classroom windows. Ruiz's voice echoed in the hallway. Arthur Whitaker, drop your weapon. Arthur dropped the gun with a clatter. As officers swarmed the room, he turned to me, his voice raw. You think you've won? Daniel will still walk. Thorne's dead. No one will believe an old woman's word against a respected judge. I stepped closer, the strawberry plant cradled in my arms. You underestimated 2 things, Arthur. Mothers. And daughters. At the precinct, Priya plugged both drives into a secure terminal. Maya's contained damning evidence. Emails where Arthur instructed Daniel on dosage levels. Bank transfers from Arthur's offshore accounts to Thorne's research fund. Even photos of Arthur meeting with Daniel in shadowy parking lots. Mark's drive held Arthur's own voice, cold and calculating. If Mark talks, make it look like a heart attack. His mother-in-law will never suspect. Widows like her trust authority figures. Ruiz placed a hand on my shoulder as we watched the files upload to federal servers. Arthur's been arraigned. Daniel's in custody without bail. They'll flip on each other to avoid life sentences. She paused. Maya's awake. She's asking for you. The hospital room was filled with morning light and the scent of fresh flowers. Maya sat up in bed, color in her cheeks, her eyes clear and bright. She held a small pot of strawberry seedlings, the ones from the classroom. You found them, she said softly. I did. I kissed her forehead, breathing in the familiar vanilla scent beneath the antiseptic hospital smell. Arthur's in custody. It's over. Maya's eyes filled with tears. I was so afraid for you. When his men came. But they didn't get you. And they didn't get the truth. I took her hand. Mark's truth. Our truth. Dr. Chun entered, his face grave but kind. Maya, your blood work came back clean. No more toxins. With time and therapy, you'll make a full recovery. He turned to me. And Evelyn, your new medication is working. Your heart rhythm is normal. After he left, Maya reached under her pillow. She pulled out a photo, Mark, young and smiling, holding a toddler Maya on his shoulders at Thorne's Lake house. Wild strawberries dotted the grass around them. He knew, Mama, Maya whispered. Mark knew what they were planning. That's why he taught me to hide things. Why he showed me how to record voices. He was trying to protect us even after he was gone. I traced Mark's face in the photo. He loved you so much. He'd be so proud of the woman you became. The fighter you are. Maya squeezed my hand. We both were. We just forgot how to see it. 2 months later, we stood on the shores of Lake Serene, the morning sun painting the water gold. Maya wore a sundress the color of wild strawberries. In her hand she held 2 small boxes. One contained Mark's ashes. The other held soil from the strawberry patch he'd loved. As she scattered them over the water, I saw not grief on her face but peace. He's home now, she said softly. No more lies. No more poison. I placed my hand over hers. No more silence. Back at the cabin we'd rented, Ruiz and Priya waited with coffee and news. Arthur pleaded guilty, Ruiz said, handing me a newspaper clipping. 30 years minimum. Daniel's cooperating. He named every corrupt doctor, pharmacist, and official. Arthur paid off. Viridian's being dismantled. Priya smiled. And the best part? Maya's classroom is being renamed. The Maya Salter Room for Truth and Courage. Maya blushed. It's too much. It's not, I interrupted. After everything you survived? After how you fought even when no one saw? I touched the butterfly hairpin she still wore in her hair. You taught me that silence is the enemy's greatest weapon. And you taught me how to break it. That night, as fireflies blinked over the lake, Maya and I sat on the porch. The scent of pine filled the air. Distant laughter floated from other cabins. Normal sounds. Free sounds. Maya leaned her head on my shoulder. Do you think we'll ever feel safe again? I watched the stars emerge one by one. We're safer than we've ever been. Because now we know we're strongest together. She took my hand, lacing our fingers. The scars were still there. On her arms from 4 needles, on my shoulder from the gunshot. But beneath the scars, new skin was growing. Tender. Healing. Promise me something, Maya whispered. Anything. Promise me we'll plant strawberries at your new house. Right by the window where we can see them every morning. I kissed her temple. I promise. And as the moon rose over the water, I realized the most important truth of all. Monsters don't vanish in the light. They shrink. They lose their power. And what remains isn't fear, but the quiet strength of women who refuse to be silenced. Maya and I, we were that strength. Together. Always.